Folks, it's been 10 years since The Witcher 3 came out, and holy shit, it's been 10 years since The Witcher 3 came out. I feel old, but at the same time, I think this is a great opportunity to revisit one of the best AAA games of all time. Might be my favorite game of all time. Let's do it.
My daughter Cirilla, she's in danger. You will find her and bring her to me.
Gotta save Ciri, whatever the cost.
Frankly, I have spoken so much about The Witcher 3 over the years. I have written technically three reviews for The Witcher 3, one of which you can't find. I'm pretty sure it's been removed from the internet. But the other two are still in GameSpot. I wrote a review for the Switch version. I wrote a review for the next-gen version that came out, I think in 2022, 2023. So I've talked a lot about The Witcher, but I think given this 10-year anniversary, I would like to revisit one thing that I absolutely adore from The Witcher, and I think something that people have given a lot of talk to, but I think it's something that kind of doesn't get old, which is the side quests, the writing, and the story. So before we started recording, Jean-Luc had mentioned something. Camera, Jean-Luc.
Hi.
They were pointing out that kind of before The Witcher 3, there was a period where a lot of games were just kind of phoning in their side quests, basically to hit a quota. I mean, you can say it better, you just said
Oh,
it.
sure, yeah. I mean, like, you know, when I grew up, back in the old days, RPGs, all their side quests were like fairly meaningful, you know? It's like if there's a side quest in the game, it has a purpose, it has a story, it has characters. Mm-hmm. In the period where The Witcher 3 came out, we were starting to see kind of quests for the sake of filling like a certain content quota. You think about like sort of the repeatable quests in like
Skyrim.
Skyrim's
got some good side quests, not to...
No. I'm not saying there are good side quests. I'm saying
Skyrim's big thing was like, we've got these AI created quests where you can just do quests infinitely, and it's
infinite
like, I don't want to do this.
Quests. Dragon Age 3, for all the good things that game has just the worst side content. It sucks so bad. It's terrible. And Witcher 3, while not perfect, felt at the time like one of the last games to really hold on to the idea where every quest, even if that quest at the moment maybe felt like, oh, I've done this before, they would always have a little wrinkle, a little bit of dialogue, a little bit of story that made that side quest feel distinct.
And I think the perfect transition is the pan.
Would you help me, dearie? Bring an old widower a pan? I could never break down that door myself.
Now, the pan is one of the first quests you probably run into in The Witcher 3. I'm sure you all remember it. But it's a perfect example because you meet this old lady. She wants you to get her pan from inside her house. But when you go in there, you get the pan, and there is a whole backstory. You learn more about the people who live there, what happened, the detail with the pan. And it's short, it's not like a huge deal, but I think it just illustrates that point to what Jean-Luc was just saying, where it's like, this could have been a very simple quest. It didn't need anything, but they kind of went that extra, not even mile, like just they added a little bit of flavor that I think made it special. And it kind of sets the tone, right? Like, obviously The Witcher 3 has an incredible main story, but surrounding that are a bunch of side quests that kind of interweave with the story. A lot of characters you meet in side quests appear in the main story, and depending on if you've completed that side quest, they might say different things, they might help you in different ways. And it's kind of interesting how these side quests merge with the main story, and then they kind of spread out to create this very organic structure to this plot. A couple examples of this. Now, this is one that everyone has talked about. I probably won't spend a whole lot of time talking about it because you know what I'm gonna say.
I'm Philip Strenger. Now the blobtits round here call me the Bloody Baron.
I mean, I think at this point has gone down as one of probably the best characters and side quests in a game. Technically not all side quests, you do have to meet him in the main story. But a big part of that, I think, is optional, where you can like kind of wrap up his story. For me, that was kind of the moment where The Witcher 3 really clicked. At this point, I've played all the Witcher games, I've seen the show, I've read the books, I've read some of the comics. I've unfortunately seen the shows. I don't really like the shows. I feel like in all my videos about The Witcher, I always have to talk about how I don't really like the show. I won't harp on it too much, but it's not very good. I don't know.
They Marvelized it. I don't know.
They Marvelized it, exactly. But that moment when you complete the Bloody Baron story to its fullest and you really get a depth for that character, because before you even meet him, you just hear all these terrible things about this guy. And those things are kind of all true, but I think the way that the writing team in CD Projekt Red kind of characterize him and gives him extra motivation, and I particularly think back to the scene where Ciri ends up in the crow's nest, or the crow's perch, I don't remember what his town was called, and you have this idea in your head about this terrible, terrible guy, but then you see their interaction, and there's like, okay, there's more to this character. And I think the way it digs deeper and his whole, I guess, redemption arc that happens in the first third of the game is so good. And I know I just said I wasn't going to talk about this quest for that long because it's been talked about to death, but I just did it. Another quest that really stands out for me is Carnal Sins. This is basically Geralt tracking down a serial killer in Novigrad. Once again, this kind of ties into the main story as well because you need to meet a specific character in the story, and she plays a major role in this quest, as well as some other characters you've met. You like see the seedy underside of Novigrad, which, to be fair, that city is designed so well. I think to this day it's still one of my favorite cities in a game. It just feels so dense and so interesting, and there's so much story just on every street corner. But I think doing that quest while you're hunting down a serial killer, you kind of see Novigrad in a different light. You really get to see sort of the seedy underbelly. You get to meet a lot of the weird people who live there, the uncomfortable people who live there, and just there's so many weird and great interactions that come along with that. The way CD Projekt Red and that writing team resolves a lot of these quests, they do it in a way where I feel like they're almost always satisfying, but it's never the ending you want, I guess. You know, it never feels like a happy ending. There are some happier endings, but a lot of times they're bittersweet. And I think that's also another reason why I think the storytelling, writing is so good, because it's not trying to just fulfill player expectation constantly. Another quest that I dig quite a bit that I feel like a lot of people miss is Reasons of State. Now, the reason I think a lot of people miss this one is because you have to be fairly involved in what's going on in Novigrad with Dijkstra and King Radovid, and I think there are certain dialogue choices that will entirely lock you out of this quest. I don't remember specifically, but I remember this is one of the last quests I did when I was trying to platinum the game, because I remember it being kind of tough. Like, you can miss the window and not do it, but essentially this is like overthrowing King Radovid, and you do it with the help of a lot of the people you've met in Novigrad. And I think the way it all coalesces is pretty special. And I think what's even cooler is like I was saying, it's like, it feels like it should be such an integral part to the story, but it's so easy to miss. And I wouldn't say it makes the story worse if you don't see it. Like, it's not like the story presents you like, oh, you could have had a better ending, but you forgot this quest. You know, it's more approached where, like, if you did this, the game kind of nods to it later on. Another one that I love that takes place in Skellige is called Possession.
Poke out your eye, suffer, and regret the evil you've wrought.
I'm sure a lot of people remember this one, but this is the one where you meet that, I forget what he is. He's like a count or something like that to a small town in Skellige, and he's been possessed. And basically, it's up to Geralt to lift the curse. And the places that quest goes, I find very interesting and compelling. It definitely leans into that sort of dark fantasy. Now, this is not just a quest, but the DLC, Hearts of Stone, I feel like doesn't quite get the love it deserves.
Hey, you! Puss papers!
Name's Geralt.
Obviously, Blood and Wine, amazing. But I feel like in terms of like a very tight, compact questline story, Hearts of Stone is like perfect. It adds some new characters. It brings back Shawnee from The Witcher 1. You fight the big frog. I remember that. You fight that ugly ass frog. All I'll say on that though is that you should watch the Super Bunny Hop video on Hearts of Stone, because it pulls from a lot of like Polish folklore in a way that I think is really cool.
It's Geralt versus the devil. What more do you
Essentially.
want?
And also what I love about that is they introduce you to the protagonist of that DLC in the prologue.
In the
before
prologue at
they
the
even
beginning of
announced
the
the
game.
DLC, or
Yep.
at least they announced the concept of the DLC. You meet Gaunter O'Den in like the first 20 minutes, and you think he's off, but you don't realize it until that DLC.
So good.
We men of the road must stick together. Perhaps one day I'll be in trouble and you'll be nearby to help.
Let me know some of your favorite memories of The Witcher 3 in the comments below. If you haven't played The Witcher 3, play it. I think it's on sale. I think for the 10th anniversary, it's like 90% off on Steam or whatever, probably GOG too. They're not paying me to say that, but I'm saying it anyway because it's that good. But if I had to think of one thing, one legacy that The Witcher 3 leaves behind, it's bathtub.